and RIo SEO in today's live webinar, where we'll be discussing how to use local SEO to drive online conversions. I'd like to take a moment to introduce you to our speakers. Joining us, we have Tyler Ludwig. Tyler's Interactive Marketing Manager at RIo SEO. Tyler has been developing websites, e-commerce stores, and working in SEO and digital marketing for the past 6 years. He currently is the Interactive Marketing Manager for RIo SEO, which includes working with enterprise clients on developing and launching of national local search campaigns. So welcome, Tyler. I'd also like to welcome Paul Baumgarth-Uber, Organic Growth Strategist at LaserAway. Paul is an ambitious and dedicated entrepreneur. He is the co-founder of California Venture Partners, a company whose offshoots include domainappraisal.org and mavenlabs.com, and the current organic growth strategist for laseraway.net. Paul has a long track record of working with high-profile clients such as LifeLock, Carbonite, Massage MV, Sure Deodorant, as well as small to medium-sized companies to help them expand their reach and improve their ROI through search engine optimization and user engagement optimization. Since starting with LaserAway, he has implemented a new information architecture along with value-based content marketing and location-based ranking strategies. So welcome to both of our speakers. I'd also like to introduce you a little bit more to our guest companies. RIo SEO is the software division of Cavario, the 3-time winner of the OMMA Search Agency of the Year, and powered by over 200 analysts and strategists. RIo SEO powers Store Finder software, mobile store find software, and local listing management software developed to automate local SEO for multi-location brands and agencies. They recently won the Local Search Association Ad to Action Award for their local listing manager software and have been featured by Forrester Research as the only leader for enterprise SEO tools. To learn more about their software and services, visit them online at www.rioseo.com. Now a little bit about LaserAway. Established in 2006, it is the nation's leading medical spa specializing in laser hair removal and aesthetic services. They offer state-of-the-art hair and tattoo removal services, as well as revolutionary treatments for sun damage. LaserAway is the treatment of choice for celebrities and is the largest laser hair and tattoo removal company in America, with more certified nurse practitioners and physician assistants than any other hair removal provider. To learn more about LaserAway, visit them at www.lasernet.com. So I'd like to just add a couple of things to note before we move on. We will be stopping for Q&A at the end, so please submit any questions you have throughout the webinar, and we will try to address as many as possible. And we will also send you the recorded webinar and PDF to the slide deck within 24 to 48 hours. And now a little bit on what you'll learn in today's webinar. First of all, we're going to cover how optimized local landing pages can garner previously untapped volumes of traffic. Bridging the gap cross-channel, e-commerce, and brick and mortar together. Real-world examples of retailers using local SEO and ship-to-store technology. And lastly, how local search traffic converts both in-store and online for multiple businesses. So with that, I'd like to pass you over to Tyler.
Thanks, Naomi, and thank you everybody for joining the call. So we really want to start for the first 2 sections of this webinar, really talking about the foundation and how you can really apply conversion metrics to capture local search traffic, as well as make sure that those conversions are happening in that market and optimized for that search. And then finally, we'll talk with Paul around how LaserAway has used our local platform as well as provided local search strategies to really optimize their campaign. So to start, it all focuses around the building of your digital storefront through optimized local landing pages. So as you can see, local SEO has really become the new sales funnel. It's also a new way for online retailers as well as brick and mortar locations to really take advantage of how people are searching today. So as you can see on the graph, there's a few great things that are going on here. So obviously people are looking more for answers in location, finding business and services around their area, as well as looking for product phone numbers. So those are great conversion events that lead people to buy online or offline. Some of that stats as well is making sure that you have optimized landing pages to capture this type of traffic. If 80% of local searchers on mobile devices turn into purchases, that makes sure that you have an optimized mobile user experience on your website to capture those searches. So it starts really with building the foundation. The foundation starts with your digital storefront. This is how people are going to interact with your brand, how they're going to drive traffic, and how you can really apply conversion metrics and get valuable ROI from those searchers. So if you have multi-locations, obviously it's going to be great to have an automated local CMS platform to make sure that your efforts are scalable, as well as making sure that the optimizations are being done not through a manual process as normally. Also, making sure that you have local optimized store landing pages and also mobile location landing pages is really your key or your face to the brand for local searches. So if I'm searching for sporting goods around me, obviously I can find Sports Authority, and if they have a page, I'm more inclined to buy from them. And then also you can extend that reach is by building category-specific product landing pages. So not only having an e-commerce store, but also applying local SEO or local terms to product pages like hunting socks in New Jersey, or even sporting goods in San Diego. All of those can be applied, and then you can convert them by applying products to those pages as well. The second step is really when you're optimizing those landing pages or building those landing pages, making sure that you have the most juice for search engines, as well as making sure that they're properly categorized, is going to help you improve your rankings not only in the maps, but also for organic search results. So some things to include on your pages is title tags that are optimized for that specific market. You can see Kohl's does a great example of this with Kohl's in Huntington Beach, and they also include the hours as well as the zip code around that. Gives a great signal to the search engines of what this page is about, and then also including schema markup. So schema markup is a really tough and complex system of variables that really categorizes a web page on the code level, but it's also a great way to tell search engines, specifically when you're building localized landing pages, exactly what that business is, or is it a bar or a restaurant. So there's a lot of variation that you can do within the schema markup, but there's also advantages of making sure that you include that, and having that automated local CMS is key so that you don't have to do this manually or through coding, but you can easily apply this to those local landing pages. And the final piece of that is really making sure that you're not only using localized schema for the business, but also if you include products on those pages. You can also wrap them in schema markup for products so that it has another validation signal that not only are you providing best practice local SEO and information to that specific market, but also applying best practice schema markup for products to know that if there is a product available in that location, now search engines, as they become smarter, can apply that to that specific location as well. And then finally, to make sure that you're getting the most value out of your local landing pages is, now that you've developed that huge foundation of having an optimized store finder, having optimized local landing pages for each store, it's time to tell the world all about it. So some of the things that you can do from a very basic standpoint is making sure that if you have multi-location brands, that you're submitting that location data to the search engine. So this is a free way, but also a tedious way to make sure that when search engines are crawling information, that they have the correct phone number, name, address, phone number, as well as including localized relevant information like storefront images, localized categories, as well as adding products to that as well. And you can also attach that, if you have built those localized landing pages, the key here is to attach those map listings to those local landing pages. I find it more times than not, if a brand uses just their specific domain as the link from the map results for, say, sporting goods in San Diego, and a consumer goes to the home page of that website, it's going to be a lot harder to convert them because it's not relevant at all. So if you're including those local landing page URLs in those map listings, it's a great way to get more out of the user, and I guarantee your conversion rate is actually going to go up as well. The next step is to make sure that you're covering niche directories, GPS devices, social networks, and those can be driven through the data aggregators. So Localese, InfoUSA, Axiom, and Factual are great ways, but also costly ways, at around $99 for all three or all four, to distribute your data and also provide validation to Google, Yahoo, and Bing when they're serving up your pages in those locales. And then finally, if you really wanted to take this a step further, is making sure that you're applying localized information to Yelp, so through another paid engagement. You can also use the same CMS to output information that is relevant on Yelp to give those consumers more idea around your services and products, but also give them more incentive to go to the local landing pages that you've spent so much time creating. So just want to, after we've gone through those kind of foundational steps, really wanted to kick off and get a kind of a poll question going on in here. So which of the following are you currently applying to your local plan strategy? Having local landing pages for each store? Do you currently have mobile landing pages each store to convert that high number of mobile visitors coming to your pages? As well as, have you claimed your Google, Yahoo, and Bing listings, the most powerful part of making sure that you show up in the maps, as well as submitting your data to info group, localese, Axiom, or Factual, and syndicating it and really casting that local presence. And then also none of the above. So I'll give you guys a chance to answer those.
Okay, Tyler, I think most people have voted, so I'm just going to close that and share the results.
Perfect.
Tyler, are you still there?
I am here.
Okay, perfect.
The only thing I cannot see is the poll results.
Can you see them there?
I cannot, but if you could read
Oh,
off.
I can read them out for you, yeah. So it looks like with 44% was the highest, have claimed your Google, Yahoo, and Bing listings.
Great.
Second, at 38%, was none of the above.
Okay.
And equally at 9% was have local landing pages for each store and submitting your data to info group, localese, Axiom, and Factual.
Great.
And 0% at have mobile local landing pages for each store.
Okay, so that's some great stats there, just to see how really local SEO, since it is kind of a new part of the space and has just emerged over the past couple of years, retailers online or offline are really taking advantage. And it looks like, you know, the great thing is the biggest stat with having claimed your Google, Yahoo, and Bing listings, but also you can see that there is more room for improvement and things that you can do to really garner that search traffic. Do any of those stats really stand out to you, Paul? All right, so we'll jump into, so the next step of this is, now that you've spent that time and really made the investment to optimize for local searchers and drive traffic to both online and offline through that store finder and local landing pages, is really now bringing the value and bridging the gap between the two. So bridging the gap through cross-channel conversions is going to be the next step in, now that you've garnered that traffic, and making sure that you have the best chance of converting them either online or offline. So driving the traffic, here's a great example from Advanced Auto Parts. You can see that there's multiple ways where you can incentivize users to convert or to become more familiar with your brand. So as you can see for this Advanced Auto Parts Garden City, it's a great way. They've made their store address visible, so if I wanted to actually just go visit them, but also they've applied different tactics. So you can see social media. They've also have an online and offline coupon. So specifically for, you know, using local SEO to drive online conversions, you can have a coupon that you can also track through those local landing pages to give you great statistics or show you how visitors are moving through the funnel and if they prefer online or offline. And then going a step further, there's really that buy online and ship to store. So Best Buy does this, Walmart does this, Advanced Auto Parts also does this, where I have these local searchers who are probably more relevant or more opted to drive down the store instead of wait for shipping. If by offering services like buy online or pick up in store, it's a great way to incentivize people to buy now and also to expedite the process of buying that item. And then finally, there's also a new development, if anybody is including Google Maps on their pages, is also with Google Business View. So Google has started doing where they send out a photographer to your business. Sports Authority has this on some of their pages, which is great. And it shows a walkthrough of the in-store. So you're also providing a more familiar offline experience to that online consumer to make them more trustworthy of your brand and more willing to come back. And then the next step is, once you have been driving organic traffic and as well as those map listing traffic, the next step is really to crank up the local through paid search. So a lot of companies, and I'm sure a lot of you are doing this now, It's using page search to drive traffic to your product pages, maybe to your offline stores. But some of the things you can see, and Google has been doing a lot of improvements on this, even from a mobile storefront on the local listing itself. But you can see that they're starting to include geo-targeted ads, having the ability to add phone numbers, have the ability to click links directly to those landing pages. Is a great way to localize this. And I know LaserAway has done a great job with their paid search campaigns to drive traffic to their local landing pages around specific messaging, around making sure that those are more qualified users in those markets. And it also helps drive relevancy as well as knowledge around your local brand that a consumer might not have known about till that point. And the next step is really, now that you're doing all this work, you have optimized landing pages, you're pushing out promotions, and you're also driving paid search. How do you measure local ROI? So local ROI is very hard and used to be very kind of convoluted around how people were able to track that. But through simple tactics, you can easily apply these to your pages to show how traffic from local search is driving to those local landing pages and obviously driving more revenue for your business. So some tactics you can see here is request a quote buttons, get direction buttons. You can see how many people clicked on directions to that store, as well as applying this to your CRM or to your e-commerce to see, are people requesting a quote and then driving in store, or are they coming back and converting online? So it's a great way to incentivize users through local promotions, coupons, or purchases, but also drive analytics and reporting back to your executive team or to the brand from a franchise level, and makes it great to show the value of local ROI, which is going to last for a long time. And just some examples, really just show you the various ways that you can utilize local SEO in these landing pages to drive those conversions. You can see Advanced Auto Parts, which we talked about before, get a coupon or ship to store. Sports Authority, which I lightly mentioned on the inside view, which is great, so you can actually view inside all of the departments within that store. And also, you can see how they've applied different specific product categories to the local landing page as well through hunting licenses, fishing licenses, and golf shop. And they actually have a locally optimized page for that specific product specialty. And the cool thing about that is when people are, and you can use a CMS to do this, is really apply that on a geo-targeted area. So if you have a Sports Authority in Denver, obviously you can show a ski shop or maybe a mountain biking shop based on the time of year, but also applying that to a different locale where maybe Florida around a boat shop or something like that. And then finally, ADT, which is more of a specialty or a service provider, they built a great local strategy around their installers. So you can see their conversion events are call now or set up an appointment, fill out a conversion form, which is similar to LaserAway strategy as well. And then they've included a rich user experience through Twitter feeds, as well as Angie List reviews, and then they've included YouTube videos and products on their pages as well. So definitely, if you're looking for great ideas to kind of kick off your local search campaign, take a look at some of these great online and offline retailers as well as companies and see how they're doing it today. So we'll take a minute and jump into another poll question now that we've went through that. So what action do you aim for consumers to take on your local landing pages? Are you looking for them to find and visit your place of business online or offline? Buy online, fill out a short lead form, or call us, so do a conversion event. Download an app, such as a reward digitally loyalty card or a menu if you're a restaurant, as well as download a coupon or local promotion, or none of the above.
Okay, so I think most people have voted, Tyler. I'll just share the results with everyone. So some pretty close results here. 44% said buy online, fill out a short lead form, call us. Next up, 32%, find and visit your place of business. Third was 22% with none of the above or other. And the least was 2% with download a coupon or local promotion.
Great. Yeah, those are some great stats. Definitely you can see the focus around, converting users online through those conversion events or calling the store to see if there's something available. And then the second, which is great, is finding and visiting your place of business. And as you saw in the kind of the first couple slides, that is increasingly growing, and based on local search, it's one of the more relevant things that people are actually doing. And then it was surprising to see that none of the above for a lot of those local landing pages. A lot of making sure that you're driving those conversions is a very important part of it. But also another great way to measure traffic as they come through different mediums. So to kick it off, I really want to pass this over to Paul to take a deeper look into a brand's perspective. So Paul, definitely take it away.
Okay, appreciate the introduction. Hopefully everyone can hear me fine. I had some audio issues before.
Great.
Basically, I was asked by LaserAway to help them with some SEO issues, organic growth issues that they had encountered about 9 months ago. Really, the companies they had been working with were just kind of applying a generic SEO strategy where they were buying links, creating content, and trying to drive traffic in a way that's more typical of a web-based business as opposed to a location-based business. So when I came in, I basically helped them redo their information architecture to help support a content marketing strategy. I also did a lot of research on different platforms to help them become scalable as they grow, because they are a company who wants to grow very fast, and they want to be able to implement stores very quickly. And that's kind of where I came across RIo, and it was a pretty hard sell to get them to use RIo, but since we have, it's been amazing. Our growth and targeted leads have increased a lot. With local SEO, the biggest thing is being able to provide the most relevant information to a person searching for a service or a product. And the best way to do that is to be able to display a listing or a store that's in their vicinity for that specific query they have. And that's where our whole local strategy comes in with RIo, is being able to provide the most relevant location and page to any visitor. And then the way we're able to help increase those rankings of those local pages is by enforcing our authority within that space by having uniform citations across the web to reinforce that location for that specific query. And then, like I said kind of before, is there's a lot of misconceptions within the industry, especially on the local end. And there's this idea where people just think they need to create content and get backlinks, and magically they will rank. When in reality, with the localization that Google does with search, you need specific pages that match a query within a location. That's where that one-size-fits-all strategy does not work anymore. Local businesses need to take a completely different approach than a web-based business. They really need to focus on providing information for every store that's going to be relevant to the user and provide them the information they need to convert. And that's really the foundation of local search, is getting them the information for a specific store. And that's what's going to help you rank on a local level. And there we go. So the biggest thing for most businesses is a return on investment. That's by far, the most important aspect when talking about strategies and marketing or whatever your objective is you need to see a return on that investment. With local services, it can be difficult because you have people who are actually walking into the store. If they're calling or buying a service online, it's a little easier. You can use dynamic phone numbers to track calls. From mobile, you're able to track the click-to-call aspect. But in order to get an accurate view of how successful a strategy is, you really need to start looking at attribution modeling. Attribution modeling allows you to see everything that a person who converts touch. So they might come in contact with a banner ad, they might click on a local listing. It might be driven through a PPC ad. But in the end, if they come, if they ultimately convert, but they come directly to the site, you're not able to apply weights to those different marketing pieces that help them convert. So attribution modeling allows you to break up that conversion to the different parts that that person touched before they ultimately converted, giving you a more accurate view of how successful each of your strategies are. Like I said before, at LaserWay, the ultimate goal for conversion is either a form or a call. And that's how we base all the ROI on our different strategies, on those two metrics. And then, being able to accurately track those with the attribution modeling and being able to figure out if you have an ROI is going to give you a very financially sound idea of how successful you are with your different strategies. And ultimately, if it doesn't make money, it doesn't make sense. So that's my my experience thus far with LaserWay. The biggest need for local companies like LaserWay is really being able to scale. If you're a fast-growing company, you go from 10 locations to, say, 100, being able to manage every single location's information from hours to specials or promotions really requires a lot of time if you don't have a mechanism in place to help automate those changes, that management. That's where a platform like RIo is extremely important. That also gives you the flexibility without having to have a whole team of developers and coders to make these little changes with a automation platform, whether you're changing hours of the day or specific promotion, you can do it with a single interface, not having to make any changes to the actual code of the website manually. And then in the end, local business is very competitive, and people who are succeeding are leveraging technology, and they're able to leverage that technology to scale faster, to get that competitive edge, and to grow at a much higher rate than someone who's trying to do it manually. So in the end, it really comes down to you really need to start working smarter, not harder, to achieve results in the local internet space.
Great, thanks, Paul. Really some great insight around LaserWay and definitely your strategy and implementation of that. I want to kick it over to another question that Paul submitted, which is great, is what is the biggest barrier in implementing technology to improve the efficiency and scalability of your business? So Paul kind of went over a few of the aspects, IT or bringing it internal, but are you managing, is it budget or internal restraints that are keeping you from doing the local search strategy? Time to set up a local search program, it seems like it's a long time or it might be too long, as well as how to measure local ROI if it's in place. And most of you might already be doing this, but if you're already doing most of what's needed, that's great. And then some of you might be looking for a solution today.
Okay, I think most people have polled now, so I'm just going to close that and share the results. So again, we've got some fairly interesting results, with 50% saying budget or internal restraints. Next up, 23% time to set up a local search program. 17% said how to measure local ROI is in place. And 13% said we are already doing most of what's needed. And lastly, 10% said none, but we're looking for a solution to help now.
Great. Paul, did that kind of jump out at you too, as well as for the budget and internal restraints? I think that's probably one of the biggest pain factors we hear today, just because local SEO is so new.
Yeah, I mean that when I started working with LaserWay, that was their biggest pinning point was the upfront cost to get that type of mechanism in place. But since we have put in place RIo and our different strategies, we've been able to increase conversion in just the past 9 months by 230+%. So it's definitely paid off in leaps and bounds.
Great. Yeah, I definitely think too. Also, that the second answer with the time to set up a local search program. That's where that CMS really comes, or that software comes in play. Is like you said before, not having to manage those local listings or local pages manually through developers, but making sure that you're able to scale that through a best practice or quick solution. And RIOs typically can set up within 45 to 90 days, so it's great.
Oh, and one other thing I didn't get to touch on was when you're speaking to the idea of taking visitors from a local page like Google Local or Yahoo or Yelp and sending them to a specific location page. After we implemented location-specific pages on Yelp, we were able to double our conversions just for our referral traffic by doing that.
That's great. Yeah, and it's that's an untapped resource. Yelp shows up a lot in organic search results, typically when brands are looking even for branded, and they compete. So that's a great strategy that you put in place to kind of take advantage of what was already there and then optimize it through that search network.
And one thing I don't think you touched on is the idea of saturating the results. So
right.
If you can get your local page to rank, and then you have your Google local page ranking, and then you have a Yelp listing that's ranking, and then you're doing a paid search ad, you're taking up the majority of the real estate on the first page for a specific result. And all those are going to work in harmony to help drive that conversion and reinforce your authority in that space.
Definitely. Perfect. So we reached the end of our presentation, but we want to open it up to Q&A, and I know probably a lot of you probably have some questions. So let me know. We'll send them in and start answering some of those.
Yeah, Tyler, we've already got a few that have come in, so I'll just get through them first. And
okay.
As I said, please feel free to submit more, and we'll try and answer as many as possible. So the first one I've got is, when it comes to data aggregators, which ones do you feel have the most coverage?
Okay, great question. I think this can go in a few other ways, just because a lot of times the syndication of those is kind of unknown. Most of them have really great networks. I think some of the top ones is probably Info Group and Localese, definitely with their distribution and some of their real-time data factors, but also making sure that you're taking advantage of data aggregator like Factual, which offers a lot more services around not only submitting the data to Apple Maps and GeoCity sites and other things like that, but also being able to query Factual and bring back more data around social profiles using their Boardwalk feature. But I think the top, making sure that you're in, the Info Group and Localese are probably the top two for that specific, and then really driving traffic across the other ones if you can afford it. What do you think, Paul?
I would completely agree. And you know more with the data aggregators than I would, since you work with them on the back end. But so far we've had no issues with the ones that you guys use.
Great, thanks.
Great, thanks both of you. Okay, this is perhaps for you, Paul. With the laser away example, how did keyword unavailable impact customizing the page to the user query?
That's a good question. It's going to impact across any business, whether it's web-based or local-based. So essentially, you kind of have to back into where your conversions are coming from, using looking at the landing pages that are driving those conversions, and then checking what keywords those are ranking for. So you can start getting an idea of how successful certain pages are in certain regions for specific keywords. So since we have a specific page in the laser example for laser hair removal, tattoo removal, and 2 other services, we typically rank for, if someone's doing a query in a specific area for laser hair removal, the local clinic page for that specific term will rank. And if someone's searching for tattoo removal, then the tattoo removal specific page will rank. And we can track back all the conversions with a not set to the actual landing page that converted them. That's how we kind of get around that not set issue.
Okay, thanks. Great for that insight, Paul. Next question we have is, if you're an online business only, how do you provide mapping information, etc., for local cities?
Yeah, so this one's kind of a tricky one. Really when it comes to, just to touch on it first, really when it comes to, local rankings in the map results, those are typically anchored by a phone number or an address. So usually to get within the map results, you have to have a physical location. But in cases of where you don't have physical locations, but you do save ADT where they service different specific locales, or if you're kind of targeted toward a specific geo demographic, you can build optimized landing pages, target around key terms, much like LaserWay does for laser hair removal and things like that, and drive traffic. But it's going to come down to really around your conversion events, and you're going to be more optimizing for the organic search results, not for the map results. But in a lot of cases, some queries don't, if they're not a local term in general, won't even produce a map listing. So you have the advantage of having optimized landing pages for a specific market around a term that's not normally local, and then have the ability to drive that online. And then you can use, like we said before, the paid search to also drive additional traffic based on a geometric or targeted area. Is that going to go along with what you're going to say, Paul?
Yeah, I was going to kind of follow through with that. A lot of people have tried to game the system to get web-based results into local queries, and so Google in general has become pretty good at spotting non-brick-and-mortar companies who are trying to rank for specific location-based queries. But if you're doing it in the correct way, like you're saying, if you're not trying to game the system and you do service an area, then you do have the potential to rank for those.
Okay, great. Thank you again. Another question here is, would Google consider different theme pages for hair removal, tattoo removal for the same NAP as a spammy tactic?
No, definitely not, because it's an actual service that the company provides, and the specific page is describing that service, and it's describing a service in a specific location. So it's extremely relevant to the query, and it's providing value to that person who's searching for that type of service in a specific location.
Okay, great. Thank you, Paul. Another question just come in is, does it help to also submit to Yelp?
I think through Paul's example that he just shared, it's a great way to kind of dominate that first page or dominate that search results for that. And by taking ownership, much like LaserWay has done, it allows the brand to control what Yelp is producing as far as descriptions, phone numbers, things like that. I think it's a highly relevant tactic if you have the budget to do so. Is engage with more of those other ranking niche directories that Paul talked about for your brand.
Yeah.
Own it.
Okay, thank you.
And I know from my experience with Yelp is they have the lowest cost per acquisition of any strategy we implement, other than straight organic conversions.
So the next question I have is, I've read that video is a great way to boost SEO. Do you recommend having embedded videos on landing pages, whether it's 10 to 30 seconds?
Definitely, great question. So I think this goes back to the part of adding Google assets to those pages. Obviously, Google controls a lot of the search results, and a lot of people are serving through that platform than any other. So making sure that you have locally optimized or locally directed videos on those pages is great, but you can also include on local landing pages a generic video around your business, like sporting goods or something like that. But it's really key to kind of bring in that user experience on the local level by having maybe a walk through the store or maybe a talk with somebody that's local. Definitely a great way, and it sends another signal back to the search engines that allows them to know that that's a local presence.
Great. Thank you again, Tyler. So we're coming close to the end here, so I think I've got time for one more question. Do you have any experience in measuring the impact of added Google Business View to a Google Maps location listing?
Definitely. I think that's that's going to be a hard one to tell nowadays, since it is something that's so new. And it's just another feature of kind of the storefront view or the on-the-street view that they've had before. So It'll be really interesting once they allow to start having maybe some click-throughs or adding links or maybe even some interactive elements to that insight or business view, which could really drive traffic back. But at this time, we're really seeing it's just another asset that you can apply to the local landing page to bring more familiarity to the consumer about that business. And, in some cases where we've seen Sports Authority, they do it across multiple stores that have the same layout. So it really gives a good look and feel of that location.
Great. Thank you again to both of you for your answers here in the Q&A. It's really insightful. And with that takes us to the end of the webinar. So I want to give a big thanks to Tyler and to Paul, and thanks to everyone who joined us. Just a final reminder that we will be sending you the final recorded webinar and slide deck within 48 hours. And thanks again for joining us.